Welcome to Radio Express World News, presented by Vibha Ramesh, Los Angeles, United States. Today's report begins with Dr. Francis Collins taking offense to United States President Trump's statement on the coronavirus vaccine. More in detail, President Trump had remarked earlier that a coronavirus vaccine will be ready for distribution by Election Day. However, the director of the National Institutes of Health went the extra step to reassure senators that Trump's statement was not likely to happen. In another instance, AstraZeneca pushed the hold button on its late-stage trials of a potential vaccine owing to an adverse incident. One of the individuals on whom the vaccine was tested experienced symptoms that are akin to a condition called transverse myelitis. Study is on to determine whether it was really the vaccine or just a coincidence. Meanwhile, Governor Andrew Cuomo stated that he would lift the ban on indoor dining in New York City on September 30th with a view to uplift the economy from the pandemic. That said, restaurants will have to operate at 25% of its capacity only. According to recent data, Arizona has been showing a good dip in the number of new COVID-19 cases, reflecting that the state has been successful in curbing the virus. As of Tuesday, the state recorded only 81 new infections, which is a drastic decline when compared to 3,800 a day recorded in July. As the deadlock on the federal relief aid remains unchanged, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin remarked of the unlikeliness of another economic stimulus package being passed this year. Weeks after the first fire, Californians are still struggling with newer and more deadly blazes as over 85 wildfires are burning out the West. Moving on, a sudden spike in the number of new infections has wrapped up Britain with more restrictions and limitations. To this effect, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that any gathering exceeding 6 people will be banned in the country starting next week. The ban will be applicable to both public and private gatherings, and anyone failing to observe the rule can be fined or even arrested. He said, "I wish we did not have to take this step. As your Prime Minister, I must do what is necessary to stop the spread of the virus." He further reiterated the importance of hand washing and mask wearing. Another case of destruction in a refugee camp comes from Lesbos. In the unfortunate incident, a rapidly engulfing fire destroyed one of Europe's biggest refugee camps. The camp, situated on the Greek island of Lesbos, burned almost entirely, leaving its 12,000 residents homeless. The blaze occurred merely days after they were collectively quarantined because of a coronavirus outbreak there. Over to France. Prime Minister Jean Castex will be quarantining himself as he came into contact with the director of the Tour de France, who had tested positive. News has it that despite testing negative for the virus, Mr. Castex will be isolating himself for 7 days, after which he will be tested again. Facing a second wave of the virus, France's 7-day average was nearly 7,000 cases. In effect, the country has opened 20 new testing centers with a testing capacity of 45,000 to 200,000 a week. That said, about 1 million tests were conducted per week nationally. Moving on, schools in India have been given the green light by the Health Ministry to reopen classrooms on a voluntary basis. In effect, high schools may open for in-person classes on September 21st, subject to parents' approval. This also means that most of the school children will continue to study from home. Further, with a restricted crowd size of 5,000 people, the Taj Mahal is all set to open up on September 21st. Sources say that 44 Vande Bharat trains will now be manufactured at 3 coach factories at Kapurthala, Chennai and Raebareli. India's current coronavirus record stands at 4.4 million cases with 95,735 new infections and 1,172 deaths reported on Thursday. Of the 4,465,864 total cases of coronavirus, about 967,349 cases are from Maharashtra, making it the worst hit state in India. Reversing an earlier announcement about the cancellation of China's biggest air show, the show will now take place in November. Organizers are setting everything in place for the biennial International Aviation and Aerospace Exhibition amid a steep recession in the industry. And in Germany, an extended travel advisory has been issued to include all countries outside Europe through September 30th. However, starting October, the country would evaluate individual non-European destinations case by case instead of issuing a blanket warning, said the Foreign Ministry. Indonesia has for long been known for its poor healthcare system, and lately hospitals reached maximum capacity, leading to a partial lockdown. To this end, starting Monday, the nation will enforce a ban on large gatherings, a work-from-home requirement, and limitations on places of worship. As Jakarta's governor Anies Baswedan said, we will pull the emergency brake, which means we are forced to re-implement large-scale social restrictions like in the early days of the pandemic. With that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the next program on Radio Express. To receive Radio Express English news and English programs in your WhatsApp, please send a WhatsApp message, English programs, to 90727 95547. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Radio Express. Thank you.